Hey Honest community, before we dive into this episode, we've got a quick free favour to ask. If you enjoyed the Honest Property podcast, please hit like, follow and subscribe wherever you're listening from. It helps us grow, reach more people and bring on guests that you want to hear from. Thanks for being a part of this. We appreciate you more than you know.
Hello, and welcome to Honest Property Podcast with your hosts Becky and Ruth. And we like to talk about all things entrepreneurship, business, and property, financial, just a sustainable property investing. And today we are going to talk about a video that we watched. Becky sent me this video, and I think it had been the most aligning video I've watched. It's clarified a lot of the feelings that I've had, especially since moving to Malaysia, where there's been moments of emptiness in a good way, where I have breathing room, but it feels uncomfortable. And I was explaining to Becky when I catch up today, because she is in Thailand now. I was explaining to Becky that I was feeling like unproductive, not feeling like I need to be busy and do so much more. And then Becky goes, "You need to watch this video." And so I did. And so we're going to discuss it because I think it's really relevant and would be really valuable for our listeners. So Becky,
Yeah,
what is
I'll
this
put
video
it.
that you showed me?
It's a video by Matt Diavella, and I literally watched it last night. Called "Hustle Culture Lied to You. Here's a Better Way." And I couldn't relate to it more. Actually, it was my now husband who sent this video to me, and was like, "This is you and Bruce, pretty much." So I was like, "It is," but sometimes you need to face your mirror and realize, some things need to change. But especially now that Ruth and I are in this next chapter, this next phase, and we've worked hard to be able to be where we are now, it's kind of learning to undo or just unbusy ourselves, because
Yeah.
that wasn't what we're doing this all for.
But also in
Um,
this video, the what's his name?
Matt
Matt.
Divella.
Yeah, Matt Diavella, his turning point, which I found really relatable, was, which I'm sure other parents can also relate, was when he said he became a parent, and you're kind of, when you've been hustling for a long time, making your mind slow down, knowing that you really do need to slow down because now you've got kids in the picture, is really, really hard, because then it makes you feel like you're not doing enough with your work wise, when nature has actually told you to slow down because you've had children. And it's very hard to have acceptance of that when you have built a whole workload to never slow down. So that was a juxtaposition, is that the right one? The juxtaposition of having children, becoming a parent, and acknowledging that things need to change, which is really, really hard.
Well, the first point that he addresses is how it's better to do fewer things but better. And I think we've already elaborated on our property journey how we tried all the strategies. And sometimes you do have to try. I do believe you have to try all the things to realize what you like, what works for you, because everybody's different. And we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known unless we did those things. So it's kind of hard to just know from the get-go what the sticking thing is going to be for you. But I think as soon as you recognize it, that's when you that's when you need to then go into the phase of refining what it is you do. So even with Honest Property Sisters, we were so excited about a new digital business. We were like, okay, you need to create, I think we were doing 3 pieces of content every single day at the beginning. That was insane.
Because that's the way that we've been taught to
Yeah,
of
that's what all
how
the online gurus were saying, like, you have to post this much every single day, and then you have to set up an email list, and then you set up a funnel, and then now you're somehow a master of branding and marketing, which I actually really quite enjoy. I find it interesting. Like, I do enjoy the whole thing, but there's also just so many hours in a day. And I know they say Beyonce has the same number of hours, but do you really want to have the same workload as Beyonce? Um, we don't really know. Like, she's a very private person. We don't really know what her life looks like. I just think with the other gurus out there who are like, everybody's got the same number of hours, you just have to try harder and do more than like the next person, is just actually really
The
toxic
hustle.
messaging.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this video clarified that like hustle culture is back, and how, especially in the digital space, and I can admit we got sucked into, oh, is this the way that it has to be done? That you just keep creating more. We love having a digital business, but it just of the pace is not sitting right. Something is off, isn't it, Becky? And we went to an event that I think that stuck in my mind, um, and always does. And we always think about this when we make a decision. Um, who was the guy that did that speech when we went to the Long Haul Leader Summit? And he was a guy who was in tech. He was like proper hustle bro, wasn't he? I'm gonna butcher, but I'm sure we'll put it in the show notes if I can remember what his name is. And he was telling us his story about how he was selling his company for like millions, and made his life, took his family, sold his business, and moved and bought a farm and
Oh yeah,
slowed
yeah,
down, and just didn't want to be a part of this fast speed life that was not sustainable, like at all. Maybe for the short term, we talk about acquisition, but for the long term, it really is not sustainable. That he was like, I just want to sell my business and I want to get out. He is now fulfilled with his family, growing fruit on his farm, tending to his animals. And he wrote a book, and a quote from it was Zig when they zag. And it reminded me of the video that Becky sent me today to watch, which was, just because so many people are doing the same thing, or that's what it's shown, that's what you're supposed to do to be successful online or in work or wherever it is that you work, if you're employed or not employed, self-employed, sorry. You don't need to copy other people, because that might not be the right route for you. And it's okay to go the opposite way and see what happens, because it might be the better
Mm.
approach for you.
Yeah. Like, with the property stuff, we completely cut back on serviced accommodation, any supported living, anything that um was just actually taking, like, you don't realize how much more what he calls it, overhead tax, um with the extra roles you give yourself. It's like you can say, oh, this is a good idea, but then it all adds up in time. It's like, okay, if, for example, with service accommodation, okay, so that profit wise is great, but now I have to find how to get all that furniture in, time to or to delegate, and now you have a team to look after, refresh the property every single year, because you've got to keep on top of how it looks much more often than with a long-term rental. Where's all the stock of furniture going to go in case something breaks, because you kind of got to swap it with like for like really fast. Um, it was just a lot more moving part. And then with our digital business, I don't know if anyone out there listening, if you've had a digital business, all the advice that you see online is like, start a funnel, start a newsletter, have a podcast, post 3 times a day, um, make loads of free resources, and do group coaching, and then one-to-ones as well. And we
And then
did
all of
all of
these other,
them. We've done all of them in a year. Because if there's one thing that Ruth and I definitely are, is we go hard.
Yeah.
we will see things through till the end.
But maybe
Um,
to a default. Maybe that is not a good thing.
yeah.
That's not a good thing. I mean, look, this where do we break that?
Well, we also
Where do
found
we?
out fast what we don't want,
That's true.
so maybe
I
that's the
do
silver
believe.
lining.
I do still believe maybe we need to unbelieve that trying something and then seeing if it's not the right route, or maybe just going before we even try something. Maybe it's worth just trying to visually see what it may look like in our head and go no before we
I
even
think that's a good
try.
idea.
Hey guys, if you're new to property investing, we know exactly how hard it is to figure out where to start. That's why we created the Beginner's Roadmap. It's your guide to mastering the fundamentals so that you can move forward with clarity and confidence. Just hit the link in the show notes. Now, let's jump back into this episode.
Yeah, like okay, so here's the idea. And what does that literally entail energy wise? Um, okay, here's a suggestion. Let's start doing weekly YouTubes or something so we can help people. Okay, so then that means this amount of time's gonna have to go in the prep, in the doing, in the filming, in the promoting. Like it actually, this is why it's a job, like one job for some people. And yet, I mean, it's natural for entrepreneurs to like take on a million jobs themselves before delegating. But he's actually, this guy, Matt Diavella, he had a team. I don't know, in one of his previous videos, he had a team and he let everyone go. He's pretty much a one-man band now. And it's made his life a lot simpler. And sometimes maybe you think, okay, I'm going to lose out on some big partnerships or big opportunities. But then he's gained more time to be like, some maybe you're not earning as much, but you've gained more time back to, well, in his case, it was to take his son to the park or do
Yeah.
things that were actually more valuable.
I think definitely if you're wanting to pursue a creative business, something that fills your cup creatively, a lifestyle business is what it's called, then that is more important than having all of these people to manage. Like when it comes to your investments, even keeping that simply, and even if you have other people manage it or not, it's just still keeping it simple because you don't have to have all these operating systems for unless you're like a huge company. My husband actually said to me the other day, which I think is also something to note. He says, because we're in Malaysia, if anyone doesn't know where we are, he said, I love Asians. I was like, okay, what do you mean? Hey, and he was like, because they're just like you and Becky. And I was like, what do you mean? As in, like, us having the Asian quality, which is we have a can do attitude. That's a part of us that is a can do, like, we can do it, we can sort it out. There's like a no, we can't do anything. There's a yes, we can try. We can try and keep trying until we really can't do something. And he said that's the best quality. And he was like, that's what I've realized where you get it from. It's from that side of you.
That to a fault there.
But then it's like, okay, but then where does this come from? Like, I mean, you can go really deep into that, but like, why are we like this?
I don't know. Don't know. But I think your point about any time, I think now, whenever we talk about potential ideas, because I am made of ideas when with our working partnership, Ruth's like very much the let's organize how I'll provide ideas that I get inspired by from examples like this YouTube video, and then Ruth will be like, okay, let's make it happen. Um, I think it's reflecting on the reality of those ideas. I think that we have recently been a lot better at it. Like even when you come up with a suggestion, I'm like, no, like it's more of a gut no. At this point. So
Do
I
you think
think it's
that's
learning to listen to that a lot better nowadays.
and from talking to other business owners as well? I think you just get to a point where if you've been running a business for a long enough time and that you then move into a different life cycle, which is like the next decade of your life, you are a lot better at saying no to things because your energy just no longer, I know we've talked about this before, but you just do not have that energy anymore at all. And so it ends up, you end up just running out of time every single day compared to when you're in your 20s or you're younger. You have all the amounts of time in the world where the responsibility, you have least responsibilities, that you can say yes to a lot more, because that's your time where you're trying to gain as much experience as possible. You still do that in every decade of your life, like never stop learning, but it doesn't have to be at the pace that you were doing it when you were a lot younger and fresher.
Mm. Yeah.
And what does
Yeah,
that look
that is a
like?
good point.
Becky, what does that look like?
Rebecca. Manai is a word. I don't know. We mentioned it before, but Manai is the word for older sister in Bicolano, which is Muslim dialect. So if you hear that every now and again, that's what that is. Moving to Asia, especially moving to Asia, especially, is just a different pace of life. So I mean, we've only been here a really short time. Like, you've only been there for a month, but already I feel so much more relaxed. Like, the working attitude here is so much more. It's like the hard working, but it's also like not. No one's like rushing. It's a calmer pace
I
generally.
wonder if it's because of the heat, because in the summer, actually maybe in the UK, everyone speeds up a bit, but it's slower. You don't make as, like, there are plans, but you're not cramming as many plans. Everyone's a bit more chilled,
Yeah. Like,
and I
I
feel
feel like
like that's
when people walk here, they're not like, it's just like, I'm gonna get to the destination. Whereas in the UK, it's like, oh, you're in my way. Um,
yeah.
that's a thing I've noticed. And
Like being productive, but there's a different way of doing it where you're not going, okay, at 7:15 I'm going to be doing this, and then at 8 o'clock this is happening. It doesn't, I've not
not
really
rigid.
seen, it's not
Mm.
rigid. Yeah, that's the right word. It's not so rigid. There's like, there's Malaysia time here as well, which is Malaysia time, but no one turns up on time.
Like Filipino time. I mean, there's pros and cons to that, but it's just, yeah, I think it's also when you in a new environment, you could kind of recreate your life. Like, how do you want it to look? Do you have to cram in work every hour of the day, like we were doing on our UK schedule? Like, we were just finding jobs for ourselves to do. Or do you want to kind of restart and be like, okay, actually, you know what? I want to enjoy going outside and walking to the local shop and getting my midday coconut and having an afternoon massage or something. Like, maybe
Yeah.
my day only is like 4 to 6 hours long. Like, you've
Yeah.
got a chance to reset that.
Becky and I used to put so many tasks in one day, and we have to catch ourselves.
I still
Still,
do
like,
it a minute.
I looked
Yeah.
at the diary and I realized, because we're going through this transition, I have been moving diary tasks around, and realized that it's all a mess. It's all a mess, because there's no new structure fully yet. And also, I don't want the structure to look like it looked like when we were in the UK. I want it to look like this new structure that we're going to birth, that has so much more time. Like, we already started doing this when we were in the UK, where we try and make sure there was no more than, like, what's the most important task for the day, and then maybe like one or two if you can. But what's the most important one of the day, and keep that like this. We don't work one day of the week, which we keep up.
Hmm. I did have a thought because Ruth shared a story today about how she's joined the why are you now at your kids' school?
Yeah, because I have time.
And he's like, Ruth, you've just made yourself more jobs.
But no, but I joined it because it was out of work that I could meet other parents. And I have, which is great. So I was like, from a selfish point of view, I have actually met other parents, but I've actually made myself vice chair, which is
As
basically
long as
like organize other people with the chair.
Before we continue, here's a quick thought. Ever feel like there's just never enough time to focus on what really matters in your business? You don't have to do it all alone. As they say, a great team makes everything easier. That's why we've partnered with the Freedom Geek. Their talented Filipino VAs help us with tasks like admin and podcast editing, just like for this episode, giving us the freedom to focus on what really moves the needle. If you're looking to reclaim your time and to work smarter, then check out the Freedom Geek. All the details are in the show notes. Now let's get back to our conversation.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that. I mean, I'm just saying, as long as you're not putting more on your plate, and that just leads on to the point of just watching out, listening to your inner hustle bro who's in your ear, being like, "You need to do more. You've got all this time. Let's fill it up with more things to do." I think it's just there's nothing wrong with it as long as that thing you're doing is something that brings you joy, and in your case, it sounds like it's giving you connections to other people and community, which is a
Can
nice
I
thing.
be
Hopefully that's
the
what it is.
That's what I'm hoping for. I don't have to do it next year if it actually ends up taking time. But I was like, I'm going to. It was the best way I thought for me to integrate into knowing, just like getting to know people. Because when I was in the UK, was surrounded by family. I was with you. I would see you. My points of community was always, my village was always around me. And I thought this would be a very good way of making sure that I am talking to people constantly.
Yeah. So when
Yeah,
you
and
have
like
that
actually
time back,
part of the community, being part of
Mm.
something, helping to do community work for the school, and that's hopefully will be something that feels purposeful as well outside of work.
yeah. But then when it
Yeah.
comes to work, when you allow yourself to have that space, you just are able to put more quality into the things that you do decide to do over just
Yeah.
trying to spread yourself thin, doing too much.
Yeah, that's true. I was gonna say something else. Oh, I was gonna be devil's advocate actually and say, but isn't that just being really lazy?
I think we're like monkeys though, like they don't like gorillas. You know? They don't do that much actually. It's the day and we're not supposed to be doing that much. We've
Mm.
just like created a society where nowadays it's like, well, this hustle bro is just part of culture, Western culture, and it kind of needs a bit of undoing. And that's what this conversation is about. Quality over quantity of stuff. And we've been definite victims to this.
I think that
Victims.
in the video
I do like
it was highlighted the um it's the hustle bros there, and it was the slow pace. I can't remember what the bottom one was. Like too slow. And the middle ground is the slow productivity people, which is like us, where you still want to make meaningful creative work, but at a real at a pace that's actually beneficial to your wellness at the same time, without being visibly busy. Like, and thinking that visibility, being busy, shows that you're doing something, like you're doing enough. And that's what I think you can fall into, accidentally defining your worth with how much you work, which I definitely would say is easy to fall into the trap into.
yeah. So how would that look like for you? How would that look like for you? If this question for the audience, how does that look like for you in your portfolio or your business or your work? And how do you think that looks like for us, Bruce?
How does it looks like in the portfolio, which we've done, which is simplifying it into easy to manage properties, not trying to do high, uh, not trying to extract like the most profit out of something for the stress of the running of it. It's not worth it. When it comes to our business, our creative business, which is online, our digital business, it's having, which Becky and I are actually going to have a meeting very soon, of what that looks like now going forward for Honest Property Sisters, because it's Honest Property Sisters is born because we are creative sisters who want to really have a space online which talks about aligned wealth that makes you feel good, that is anti-hustle, and we want to be able to be sustainable at the same time, and keep creating, and that's something that brings us joy. And then what it looks like in my personal life is I get to be the mother that I want to be. I get to be there to drop my son to school and pick him up and play and not feel guilty that I'm not spending enough time with him. And that's because making that space allows me to be able to play, have time for my hobbies as well, to make me a happier person. And the only way that we can continue working that doesn't result in burnout or in not allowing the businesses that we started, the portfolio that we started, to continue, is by having us be happy, fulfilled people, so that our cup is full, so that we can actually make things for the
Meaningful,
to the
quality,
world.
yeah.
That
That have more
I have gone
value.
on a tangent.
No, I think that is totally, that wasn't a tangent, that was exactly fitting. Yeah, this breathing room is going to allow us to do that, and I'm really excited to see, to have our conversation next week, and slowly show where the direction of Honest Property Sisters is going to go, because it's going to look really different now. We definitely want to be a part of this. Also, like, from a selfish perspective, we want to be part of this slow productivity movement, because this is why, and the Aligned Wealth Collective is all part of why we're doing what we're doing, because we don't want to be in that frame of mind anymore of hustle, hustle, hustle. I think like 2 to 3 tasks a day max, and they can be really small tasks, because even the small tasks take a long time. It's like, just post something. Do you know how long it takes to post something? Like, from idea to creating it to posting it is actually quite a lot of work. Even a podcast like this, like coming up with the idea and having the time to sit down and do it and then edit it and upload it, like all these little things stack up. Let alone with your property business. And I appreciate at the beginning, especially when you're acquiring an asset like a property, there's gonna be hard work up front. Sourcing the deal, project managing, now that especially that we're from afar. But once it's set up, like I want it to, like, I want our operating system to be so
Streamlined as possible.
refined, yeah, but still supportive to our tenants. And maybe this will come as a surprise to many, but I don't think either of us want hundreds of properties in our portfolio. I want a small, well-performing number of assets that can provide a recurring income for us to enjoy a good chunk of life now and be our retirement. Like,
Yeah, like we got into property. I mean, we had a passion business. We got into property because it allowed us to be able to stay creative and there are people that go into property that want to just do property. That's not us. We still want to create, and the property is the pillar, and we'll say it again, the property is the pillar that allows this to happen, to be able to stay creative and do businesses that stay creative.
yeah.
So if you're anything like us, then being able to have both at the same time really gives you accept the breathing room to enjoy life, because we didn't realize that when we first started. It was very much, if the hustle culture is the only way, and we burnt out. And now we're changing several times. Even though we loved what we do, you can still love what you do and burn out and not realize that you burnt out.
Got to say as well, like spending a lot of time in Asia kind of gives you a lot of financial breathing room to save and reinvest or put it back in your business. I'm really loving being here.
So then I'm actually going to finish because I've got to pick my son up from school. So
Yeah. Well, let's
I'm
just
going
wrap up this episode then. For everyone who's listening, what
the
just a
biggest
food for
lesson
thought. Oh, I was going to say for those listening, where could you do less but better this week? And I'll ask Bruce the question. You can
I'll ask
ask
you a question.
Okay, come on then.
You asked me this question when I just moved. So
Okay.
honestly, the biggest
Mm.
lesson I've learned is
Honestly, the biggest lesson I've learned is I want to do a lot less. I want to do a lot less, but a better quality of work. And I'm looking forward to a conversation next week with how this is going to apply to our business. And I'm sure we will share with you lovely listeners in a future episode. So stay tuned.
Goodbye.
Bye for listening. Bye.